Let's be honest, nothing boosts confidence quite like great hair. But if you're seeing more strands in the shower, your confidence might not be at its highest. And that's why you need Hers Hair. Hers Hair treatments are made with doctor-trusted prescription ingredients that many other hair products out there just don't have. They come in a variety of options, including oral and topical solutions, so you can find the one that works for you. And they even have options with added hair vitamins and supplements for extra support. Getting started is simple with a quick online hair quiz. Just answer some questions and you will be connected with a provider to discuss your personalized treatment plan. And through Hers, everything is 100% online. So no pharmacy trips, doctor's office visits, or insurance required. Plus, treatments start at just $35 a month. Start your initial free online visit today at forhers.com/KKC. That's FORHERS.com/KKC for your personalized hair loss treatment options. forhers.com/KKC. Individual results may vary. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. I'm really excited about my latest sponsor, Shawks. You guys are going to want to hear this. If you're constantly listening to content like me, you might be listening on headphones that have the noise cancellation feature. And that's cool when you're in a crowded place. But when you're going about your day-to-day, noise-canceling headphones can feel like you're in a black hole. It's isolating. Shawks headphones are here to solve that for you. Their innovative open-ear headphones let you stay both present and immersed at the same time. And Shawks is the leader and pioneer in open-ear technology, so the audio quality is incredible. I absolutely love the Open Fit 2 for all-day comfort, whether I'm on a walk, multitasking around the house, taking calls while doing carpools, or jumping into the latest docuseries. Visit shawks.com, that's SHOKZ.com, and use the code Kate Casey for $10 off your order. Stay tuned, stay open with Shawks.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Hope that your week is starting off very well because today I've got a great episode for you. Carlos King, reality TV producer, podcast host, is back with me. And I wanted to ask him a number of questions about what's going on in the Bravo space. There were a lot of announcements last week, and it's drumming up a lot of conversations. One in particular has to do with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, the show has had its share of scandal this season. 5 episodes into this season of the show, which is just concluded. The season is just concluded. They're about to air the reunion. 5 episodes in, Kenya Moore, who is a veteran of this show, was suspended and later downgraded to friend or even like guest status after revealing explicit images at her salon grand opening, allegedly implicating a new cast member to the show by the name of Britt. Well, last week, Britt claimed that that photo was not her and that Bravo never gave her a chance to see it before airing. So to everyone's great surprise, she posted on her Instagram stories that that photo, which was the source of lots of discussion this season, and again, the reason in which Kenya was suspended and later downgraded, that picture was not actually of her. So she's now suing Bravo and the producers for $20 million, citing defamation, sexual harassment, and emotional distress. And then Britt skipped the reunion taping. So I wanted to ask Carlos what he thought of this because not only is he a prolific reality TV producer, he actually worked on the show in the very beginning. And I wondered how that is going to affect casting for the show, the making of the show. It is not something that I ever expected. And I have to tell you, after doing this podcast for almost 9 years, this was a huge shock to me. So you've got that going on. And then, of course, there's always scandal going on with that show with divorces and cast members that are brought back and fighting in between them, but certainly a completely unexpected story this season. Also, last week, Paige DeSorbo announced she would not be returning to Summer House. When the season 9 reunion aired in early June, the other newcomer on that show, Lexi, well, there were 2 women, but she really kind of just stayed the rest of the season. Lexi also announced that she was leaving the show. She would not return for season 10. And she emphasized her personal growth and walks away with no regrets. I've said on the show that I thought that with the cast members that they had last season, she didn't fit in that well because she was considerably younger. And some people say, okay, but she was not that far off in age of West and Jesse But in terms of the other veteran cast members, they had been on that show for so long and they kind of suck all the air out of the room. So she seemed like she was just trying to swim with the sharks and just seemed a lot younger than them. And I think it was really hard for her to kind of fit in. And then, of course, the relationship with Jesse just took over. So I'm sad that it ended that way, but I think with the confines of the show as it was, it didn't work. So interesting that Paige has left. I think Paige has had so much success in her life in the last year that it would be hard to go back to that show considering the opportunities that are coming her way. Then on June 6th, Rachel Zoe, iconic fashion designer and stylist, officially announced that she was joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills as a full-time cast member for this coming season. And I got to tell you, I was shocked. Now, I remember interviewing Rachel not too long ago. I'm just going to say maybe 2 years ago, and really heard the backstory of the making of her previous show, which was the Rachel Zoe Project, which aired from 2008 to 2013. And she just seems to me someone who's so focused on business and conflict averse when it comes to kind of like petty little things. Like she seemed kind of above that. However, it does sound really interesting to have someone on the show that is so enmeshed in the world of fashion and beauty and style. And for the other cast members like Dorit and Sutton, I'm sure that that is going to be quite overwhelming for them to be around somebody who really authentically has an eye for style and also the relationships with all of these designers. It's not just they're buying their clothes. This is somebody who has deep cultivated relationships and has worked with them for years and years. So I totally see why they would have her on. But after meeting her and watching her on the Rachel Zoe show, it's a surprise to me. So we're going to see how it works out. This marks her first time return to Bravo since that show, so 2013. Now, it also coincides with her separation from her husband, Roger, after 26 years of marriage. So it'll be interesting to see where she is now. She's the mother of 2 sons. And, you know, that's the great thing about Real Housewives is you get to see how the women evolve. So we have a discussion about Rachel Zoe joining the show, about the summer house movement, and of course, the scandal on Real Housewives of Atlanta. So enjoy it. Here's my interview with Carlos. Carlos, what is going on Real Housewives of Atlanta? I can't even believe the events that are unfolding. Keep us up to date and tell us what's going on.
Well, as you know, breaking news happened a few days ago where newcomer of the Peaches, Brittany, not only decided not to show up to the reunion on June 5th, on June 6th, the very next day, it was revealed that she filed a $20 million lawsuit against the network, claiming sexual harassment, claiming defamation, and a hostile work environment. But what is so interesting is Brittany was infamously known, right, as the person who Kenya Moore displayed explicit photos of her during episode 5 of this current season. The entire season was based around this revelation that Kenya Moore exposed some very explicit photos of Brittany. And we found out that Brittany said those images were in fact not of her.
How do you think she found that out and why so late?
Well, that's the thing that's so fascinating about this, because if I've been accused of something and I'm on camera defending my past, I think I would ask for evidence. I think that's the part that is confusing a lot of the audience in terms of, if someone said, Kate, at this country club, somebody revealed explicit photos of you, I think you may say, are there any of me out there? Do I have a doppelganger? I think any human being would ask to see something before you talk about it. So to spend the entire season addressing it, saying that she was a webcam girl, that she started as a 19-year-old woman, I believe she said, when she and her friend decided to do it together. She said she did it for a very short time. She made a lot of money. She started in music videos as a 19-year-old girl. So all of those things came out because of this one particular photo. And now she's saying that photo where she never once said, when did she see it? But she is now saying that wasn't me and that the entire production defamed me by saying I was that girl when in fact I was not her.
And so what is the time difference between when that was filmed, when it aired, and where we are today? Because I would think that that her attorney is going to say something along the lines of her reputation was damaged. It affected opportunities that she would have received because of it.
Well, that was so interesting about it. So this season that's currently airing, this is now airing in June. This taped mid last year.
Wow.
Once again, she not only talked about it during the filming mid last year, she went on Watch What Happens Live to talk about again a month and a half ago. She did a press tour talking about that particular episode, talking about the image, talking about her past. That's why all of this is fascinating, because when you taped mid last year, you thought it was you. You went on a press run after the episode aired, even on Watch What Happens Live. There's a DM, not sure about the validity, but there's a DM floating out there where one of her fans said in her DM, please don't quit. We need you for the show, blah, blah, blah. And she says, I won't quit. And as of today, she not only did not show up to the reunion, she now has filed a lawsuit. So a lot of gray areas. A lot of people are super confused. I'm sure you are too, Kate.
This is my favorite time of the year. Outside activities like hiking, swimming, and sports. I'm going to be spending a lot of time at the beach and the pool, and it's more important than ever to be hydrated. It's peak hydration season, and Liquid IV is the perfect companion for your hottest summer plans. They've just launched an exhilarating new flavor, Arctic Raspberry. Plus, Liquid IV has sugar-free solutions for smart hydration. You can explore the delicious sugar-free options, including white peach, lemon lime, rainbow sherbet, and more. Plus, discover more fun flavors like cotton candy or popsicle firecracker. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. An optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. No matter what your summer brings, tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code KateCasey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code KateCasey at liquidiv.com. Summer is almost here. It is my most favorite time of the year, and there's no better place to go for outdoor furniture than Wayfair. Wayfair's huge selection of outdoor essentials will help make your outdoor space more comfortable, functional, and most importantly, more you. Wayfair has all things outdoor and at unbelievable prices. So don't wait until summer's in full swing. You've got to get your outdoor space ready today so you can enjoy it all season long. I just love the look of white wicker in a backyard, and then to spruce it up with some blue or yellow pillows. Wayfair really has everything that you and I both need. Outdoor dining tables and sets, umbrellas, dining chairs, bar stools, grills, outdoor bars, even tableware. Their huge selection of home items makes it easy to find exactly what's right for you. And I gotta tell you, my favorite part, it is free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. So no more huge delivery fees for patio furniture. You can get big stuff like patio sets, gazebos, hot tubs, and more shipped free. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online. This summer, get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. It seems like there's certainly a very complicated legal web involved with this. I would assume this is going to have lasting ramifications for all productions moving forward. The thing that I question most is, why did that scene even air on the television show? What was the point? Because it was damaging for both women in the end.
That's a very fair question. I mean, look, I think it's one of those things where you have to follow the reality and you have to explain why this woman, Kenya Moore, was suspended from filming. Now, granted, with that being said, there's other ways to tell the story. I'm not sure, obviously, the main decision as to why it aired, but I think when it comes to, okay, we have two women on the show that went through this ordeal. The entire world knew about this before it aired. They knew the next day after the event what happened. It was in the Hollywood Reporter. It was on every single blog. These major news channels even spoke about Kenya Moore allegedly exposing explicit images of Brit. So when something is of that magnitude, similarly to when the Real Housewives of DC, when that couple stormed into what was it? The Salahis. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the White House Correspondents' Dinner uninvited. They showed everything leading up to it. Now, granted, that's two different scenarios, but the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that story took life on its own. So ratings and showing the reality played a part, obviously, in showing that. And I think, if I'm a guessing man, the same rule applied with showing what happened. Now, granted, the network did not obviously show the image, right? It was the entire poster board was blurred. They did show the latest reactions, and they showed Brit talking about it, responding to it, addressing it, and moved on from it. That's why I think everybody is surprised, because it's one of those things, Kay, where when did she, number one, realize that wasn't her? Mm-hmm. And secondly, why wait until the day after the reunion taping to file it? That's the part that's weird, because from my understanding, she did watch the rest of the season before she decided not to show up.
It could have been legal advice that she was given. I think that this was a poor way of handling a complex situation. If you have to tell the story in some way, you could have just shown them maybe walking up to the event and then had done like a black screen with just some wordage in it. You know, over the next 2 hours, something occurred. It was in the best interest of all parties involved that we did not air what happened at this party. You know, something of that sort, because I think in the end, it's really damaging for both women. I think you risk making all cast members feel like they're not safe, like they don't have control over how their stories are portrayed. And, you know, you understand when you sign the contract to be a reality star that that's going to happen to some degree. But this just feels very, very dark. And I think, unfortunately, this is going to create a very complex legal situation that may take quite a bit, some time to work out.
Let me ask you this. Based on what you just said about possibly showing the ladies walking up to the venue, showing a black screen with some text that said, this is what happened, we're not going to show it, X, Y, and Z. Would you have, even as a viewer, wanted to know anything about the aftermath, or would you have preferred, we know what happened based on the media storm that occurred the day after, but as a viewer, would you have preferred if they completely ignored what happened and instead just moved on to the rest of the season?
Well, I think they should have sat down with Brit and an attorney and had a discussion about what she was comfortable with airing. I just felt like that whole scene playing out, I just was like, my heart was aching because so much of it was so dark. I mean, the big poster board pictures, like, I just don't think, I think we do a disservice to the women who predominantly watch these shows. We want our stories to be told. It's a safe place for us to have our stories to be told. And all of the women involved seem to be so uncomfortable with what transpired. And I think that you have to protect the people that are the center of these shows. And what do we get out of it? I just don't think we got any. I think it's one of those things I always say, you got to look at life at a 5-5-5. Like, how does this affect you 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
And they should have worked through all of those. Like, what in the end, what did we learn from this? How did this tell the story of these complicated women and their complicated relationships? What does this say about the time in which we live? Like, I just don't see any benefit to it. We don't have to air everything. It is a reality show, but at some point, I think you have to look at the bigger picture. It's so dark.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Why are we watching these shows if there's no humanity to it? There has to be some humanity. There was no humanity in any of that storyline.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think one of the things that I witnessed watching those episodes unfold was obviously we were able to understand the story, right? In terms of like, okay, we now know what happened. We were now able to see one person's point of view in terms of how Britt dealt with that situation, how she faced with it. I said this on my own podcast that for me, I will always feel sorry for her having to endure that because I don't know what it feels like to have images of me in that magnitude displayed for the world. So I just don't know. But it is one of those situations to where is it a legal issue or morality issue? And I think that's just the nature of the media. You just don't know which sort of balance to take in all of that. I mean, again, I think in this particular situation, there's no right or wrong answers in it. I think it's all about what you said, like shoulda, woulda, coulda, 5-5-5-5. Could we have thought about those things? And I think that's a fair statement. But it's one of those things where it's hard to. It's really hard to do when you're in the middle of production.
I'm sure.
And this show has 6 other women whose stories you're following, and the tough decision, obviously, of suspending Kenya, who has been on the show for 11 years, who obviously is somebody that's like a marquee name for the show. And to have this new person come into this group, having to face this, her first 2 months of filming, is also just like, wow, that's not, I'm sure, what she signed up for.
Can you imagine the casting? Can you imagine working for casting of this show right now? The conversations that they would have with a potential person that was even somewhat interested in being on the show?
Well, that's funny you brought that up because when I was a part of the show, even doing casting with some notable names, some notable wives of mega successful men or women who are notable in their own right, it is a very difficult show to cast because of what people consider to be the nature of the show in terms of the types of conversations that are had that doesn't, fit the brand of these certain individuals. Based on this particular situation, I think you're right. I think it's going to be even harder to cast really powerful women in Atlanta who feel comfortable having a disagreement with somebody without
what's going to happen. Your whole life upended.
Yeah, so it's always been a very tough show to cast for various reasons. Just like I know for a fact when it comes to Beverly Hills Housewives, that also is a very tough show to cast too. Obviously, there hasn't been any sort of explicit images, but I think based on high society women in any part of the world, they do not want to be subjected to any sort of conversations like this.
Well, now we've received news that Rachel Zoe has joined the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Be honest, your gut reaction?
I was surprised.
Me too.
Shocked. Did not like, like sometimes you can you hear little things in the background.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, I kind of heard that was happening. Like Jennifer Tilly, she's a friend of. That wasn't a surprise. We saw, her involved. Same with Kathy Hilton. Bose, that was a nice surprise. A lot of people never heard of her. I heard of her, and I thought that was a great surprise. Garcelle Bouvet, a notable actress, was a great surprise for us. Rachel Zoe is somebody whose show, The Rachel Zoe Project, I freaking loved and enjoyed. I believe it's back in 2009 or 10 when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate Casey, I was glued to every single episode
Yeah, it was a good
of
show.
that. You know, because she's a fascinating character. Now, with that being said, after the initial surprise reaction, I then thought of the Rachel Zoe that I knew back in 2009/10. I don't know who she is in 2025, 15 years later. But the Rachel Zoe 15 years ago, if she has that same personality, I don't see her working on this show.
I agree with you.
And I want to be wrong. Again, okay,
know.
Casey audience, I'm only basing off of who Rachel Zoe was in 2010 when the show, The Rachel Zoe Project, first came out. If she has that same exact personality, I don't see how this can work.
There's some incredible TV coming out of the UK right now. Brits just do it differently. The accents, the wit, the scenery, the devastating one-liners disguised as compliments. It's all streaming on BritBox. They have the best mysteries, dramas, comedies, and seriously addicting originals like Outrageous, based on the true story of the Mitford sisters. They were kind of like the Kardashians of the 1930s, wealthy, audacious, chaotic, wildly opinionated, and always making headlines. And chances are you've never heard their story. It's stunning. It's jaw-dropping. It's very British. So check out Outrageous. It could be your next favorite. Don't miss Outrageous, streaming now only on BritBox.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
I interviewed her not too long ago. I'm going to say maybe 2-3 years ago. And that's not the same person that I think would work on the show right now either. She seemed
Has
to
her personality changed, or is it?
No, she was the same person. And it felt like the show had really been a process for her to kind of unwind. And she didn't strike me as somebody who loved dramatic stuff with other women. Like, she was super focused on business. She is really proud of the relationships that she has with other CEOs that are women. Caveat, I talked to her about a project on the side that I was trying to create about women CEOs. And she was all about, like, you know, television opportunities about women working together should be uplifting. I just don't know how that would fit in with her. I understand why they would get her, because it's an aspirational show. They want glamour, they want beauty. And it may be a dig to Dorit and Sutton, who kind of fancy themselves as like tastemakers, the style makers, to have Rachel Zoe come on. But she seems to be a very thoughtful, sensitive person. And I don't know if that's the best place for someone with that personality on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. I've never seen her say anything.
I don't think she's catty. I don't think she's petty. I don't think she's delusional. I don't think she's cunning or manipulative or someone who exaggerates. She seems very thoughtful and like very focused on work. Now, she's newly divorced and she's got 2 sons. So I like to see people who have a life well lived. I just don't, I think it goes against her moral code to be in like a situation where she would have to eviscerate someone on camera. It just doesn't seem to match up with who I think she is.
Yeah, and with all of that being said, I agree with you 1000%. And maybe she is some sort of comedy relief, perhaps.
Maybe.
In terms of, like you said, she's very thoughtful. She seems to understand relationships and how to sustain it. And maybe she will be somebody that can sort of like call things out in a way that's very deadpan.
Yeah.
And she's not yelling at you. I don't see her having a back and forth with anybody. I see her saying one thing, and if somebody said, "Can you shut the fuck up?" She's like, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, but do we want someone who just is like, you know what, I'm leaving? That's a Meredith Marks move, and that it gets tiring because you want somebody who is bold and bombastic and has an opinion and will live their opinions and live them out loud.
Well, that's the beauty of Meredith Marks, though, because although she loves to like disengage, she's also bombastic based on what we saw last season on the bus, right? When it came to Brittany. I just don't. And so Meredith she's very cool as a cucumber, but at least Meredith has that sort of like ferocious sort of like persona when pushed.
When pushed.
I see Rachel Zoe meta.
Like she seems like somebody who's like, when confronted with confrontation, moves the other way. Like, I just don't know if it works for someone to be on a show like this if you can't handle confrontation.
Why do you think she's doing it?
Oh, for business. I think look what it's done to Jenna Lyons. She's the Jenna Lyons of Beverly Hills.
This is not shade. What has it done to Jenna Lyons?
Well, I think that it put her back in the press. Like she became talked about. And I think, it's a fantastic opportunity for somebody who works in like the fashion or beauty space because the audience is predominantly women who have money, who want to buy products, So it's a smart business move. I just don't know if it's a great personal move because it seems like it can be very draining.
You know what's so interesting to me? I don't subscribe to casting, whether you're a celebrity, or a former reality star on another show, just because we know who you are. I just don't subscribe to that.
I agree.
I just don't think it works. Listen, what works for Beverly Hills to me, is the fact that I like it when the cast have something going on that is very Beverly Hills or outside of Beverly Hills. And they are also great, loud, interesting personalities who are able to have tough debates and catty moments that satisfies the audience. I think Bose was a great casting choice. I like Sutton for the show.
Yeah.
These are two women who aren't like largely known. And I think it works. Erica Jane was not a household name. I've never heard of Erica Jane before the show.
True.
But I know she was part of sort of the gay circuit as a performer in Hollywood. I like when those women are cast. Doree Kemsley. Like, give me those. I just think when you make the choice of a name, Denise Richards, who I was like, great name. Didn't work for me. Lisa Rinna did work because she was overly dramatic. But I would prefer somebody who just is great television, who I can grow to love.
Yeah, like a super unique personality.
Yeah.
Quick question. Paige is not coming back to Summer House. Do you think that there comes a time where Bravo celebrities need to embrace opportunity to move beyond the network?
Look, I think it's one of those things where, because Paige has been on Summer House for
seven seasons.
Seven seasons, which is a long time.
It's a long time.
And I think it's one of those things where you have to know when to leave the party early.
Agreed.
You have to know when to leave the party early. And I think for Paige, she understood that I've done everything I could. And maybe there's more that she wants to do outside of being. Okay, think about it. Being in a house during the summer, having these catty issues with people. Like, I don't want to spend my summers doing that, okay, for 7 years plus. So I think in her defense, I understand why she made the decision. And I also think for her, she was able to leave on a high and not disrespect the network, the production company, the cast, and just said, look, it's all about me. I got to move on. Let me do something else. And we'll see. But what's interesting is this. It is sort of like this mafia, right? In terms of like reality stars, where they leave. But I can say this to you, Kate. 98% of them miss the itch.
Totally.
And they always come back.
Yeah.
They miss the itch. And that is something Neosporin can't fix, sister.
No, it can't. Not a new boyfriend, not a new job, not a new bag. It doesn't do it.
No. They miss. Listen, they miss. Let's just say it. They miss the attention.
Yeah.
They miss the attention. They miss being Us Weekly. I was talking to someone recently who said to me how this former reality star planted this story about her and told this person, you see, I'm back in the press, don't you? I was like, what? But this is a fabricated lie. And they were like, so I'm back in the press.
Yeah. Oh, I know one housewife in particular that is absolutely true for. It may be the same person you're talking about, but yes.
Yes, I'll text you.
It's dark. Yeah, it's dark. Well, tell everybody what you're working on, because, you know, you always have all these projects. And listen, I love all the clips that come out. You're on top of the game.
Oh, I love you, Kate. Thank you so much for that. No, look, Reality with the King, my podcast, audio Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can find that wherever you get your podcast. So on my YouTube channel, Kate, at the Carlos King _. You can find my Monday Night Live. It's a live YouTube show that I have every Monday night where myself, Claudia Jordan, formerly of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and my friend Dustin Ross, we recap Atlanta Housewives. I'm starting a true crime Thursday because I told you all the time how I love true crime.
Yeah,
that's why I love your podcast, because you dibble and dabble in everything when it comes to the media. So I'm doing that with Ebony K. Williams as we are dissecting the Diddy trial. That's on YouTube. So that's every Thursday, True Crime Thursdays. Ebony K. Williams, former New York City housewife, who is an attorney. We're talking about the Diddy case. So follow me on social media at the Carlos King _. You can find more updates. But listen, our business for the last couple of weeks, Kate, have been good.
Oh, yeah. By the way, when Claudia Jordan is in a riff, she almost sounds like a preacher. Doesn't she?
I'm going to tell you, Seven, that's so funny.
Yeah. Like right when you get her, I'm like, wow.
Yes.
Where's the pulpit?
And she goes on and on and on. And then she has a zinger. And I'm like...
She's a lot of zingers.
I'm like, you go, girl. You go, girl.
And how's Ebony's baby?
Oh my gosh, baby Liberty is 10 months old.
Yeah.
And Ebony is living her best life in Harlem, in New York City. And not only is she a part of my True Crime Thursdays on my YouTube channel, she's also recapping Diddy's trial with Harvey Levin from TMZ.
Yeah.
And she's also doing a lot of stuff with Nancy Grace. So and it's funny because sometimes when she's on with me, she's like, baby Liberty is asleep. And so listen, I will say this, as a 42-year-old woman, she loves being a mom.
That's amazing.
And it's a dream come true.
I'm so happy for her. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's good.
Well, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my love. I'm around if you ever need me.
I want to thank my great guest, Carlos King, and remind you to click subscribe. Please leave a 5-star review. Check out my bonus episodes on Apple Podcasts, but also on Patreon, patreon.com/KKC. But if you want a bonus episode, you can just click on it. Then also make sure you get my what to watch list at katecasey.substack.com and follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KKCCA, TikTok it's KKC, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at @KKC.
In the first half of the 20th century, one woman changed adoption in America. What was once associated with the shame of unmarried mothers became not only acceptable, but fashionable. But Georgia Tann didn't help families find new homes out of the goodness of her heart. She was stealing babies from happy families and selling them for profit. Hi, I'm Lindsey Graham, the host of Wondery show American Scandal. We bring to life some of the biggest controversies in U.S. history, presidential lies, environmental disasters, corporate fraud. And in our latest series, a young adoption worker moves to Memphis, Tennessee, and becomes one of the most powerful women in the city. By the time her crimes are exposed, decades later, she's made a fortune and destroyed hundreds of families along the way. Follow American Scandal on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. Experience all episodes ad-free and be the first to binge the newest season only on Wondery Plus. You can join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Start your free trial today.